So I got this letter this week. It has a clickbait title on it that's highlighted in yellow. It says, Jennifer, these people are literally recruiting children outside my back door. If you're a person with dementia, you think this letter was directed directly at you. Welcome to Drowning in Junk Mail. This week, the people that sent this letter are the subject of this video. The group is called Christian Action Network. And like I said, this envelope has a clickbait title on it to make you want to open it. They've also put my name in the clickbait title here. And if you are a person with dementia, you don't realize that a computer did this. You think that this letter is directed directly at you and that these people are speaking directly to you. So let's talk more about this group, Christian Action Network. If you ever see this face in a piece of junk mail you get, you need to do everything you can to get off of this person's mailing list. So about a year ago, I sent $10 to Christian Action Network. And for my $10, I was given this stack of junk mail. This is a year's worth of junk mail from Christian Action Network. And as a bonus, and the reason we're all here, they sent this stack of junk mail. This is 40 letters from 40 different charities whose mailing list I was put on because I sent $10 to Christian Action Network. My name is Jennifer, as you can tell from the clickbait headline on the letter. And this blog is all about stopping junk mail that is aimed at the elderly. At one point, I was receiving 130 pieces of junk mail for a relative, and I stopped all of it. And this is the logical continuation of that project. I sent $10 to Christian Action Network. And as what I did is I made my first name my real name, and then I made my last name Christian Action Network. So I'm actually able to track exactly whose mailing list Christian Action Network put me on. How did we get here? Why did I pick Christian Action Network and Martin Moyer to do a whole video on? And for this YouTube project, I'm working from two lists. First list is groups that are notorious for selling their donors' data to other mailing lists. And the other list is a list I made where I pulled all of these 0, 1, and 2-star charities from Charity Navigator. And when a group is on both, that's called content. And Martin Moyer is on both. So that's why we're here. The main reason I want to do this, other than, obviously the giant stack of junk mail is a bonus, but this group is a 0-star charity on Charity Navigator. All of their paperwork is just a giant red flag telling you not to donate to them. Never donate to Christian Action Network. And we're going to go through why you should never donate to them and how to get off their mailing list. All of the links for everything I'm talking about, the first link you're going to see under this video is the link to get off of their mailing list. Please, if you've ever seen this guy's face in your junk mail, please get off of his mailing list right now. He does not deserve your money, your hard-earned money. He does not deserve your parents' money. All right, let's go over the bullet points as to why you should never, ever donate any money to Christian Action Network. The first one is they only spend 50% of their budget on programs. That's a major red flag. The second one, family members are employed by the charity, also a major red flag. Personal loans have been made to the charity by Martin Moyer. Martin Moyer has taken loans from the charity. Family members have gotten loans from the charity, and board members have gotten loans from the charity. All of this is a major problem. Christian Action Network is on the radar of Southern Poverty Law Center for hate speech. That's a problem. And of course, the big one for me is that if you donate $10 to them, they put you on the mailing list for 40 more charities. Oh, that's very bad. I'm going to play a clip from Martin Moyer talking to C-SPAN in 1993. Let's see how he describes Christian Action Network then.
Martin Moyer, would you say broadly what the Christian Action Network's political goals are?
Well, we're a lobbying arm of the pro-family movement, and our primary purpose is to go into Congress and to support legislation and amendments and resolutions that support the family. And our secondary goal is to make sure that government doesn't do anything that supports an agenda that's against the family. So this past year, we've been involved in a lot of different activities. We supported a school prayer amendment that passed overwhelmingly. We opposed the National Endowment for the Arts. It got another 2% cut from that. We opposed the EEOC religious regulation guidelines on the workforce and opposed Christine Gebbe as aid czar. We've had some successes this past year, and we're looking forward to next year after the elections.
Are you involved in the elections?
No, not at all. What we're trying to do this year is to make sure that people understand where their members of Congress voted on certain issues, and we produced the 1994 government report card listing over 16,000 votes so that people can make informed decisions, but we're not out to actively campaign for or against any particular candidate.
Okay, so that was Martin Moyer in 1993 talking to C-SPAN, and the way he describes it, Christian Action Network is a pro-family, pro-Christian group that wants to help pass legislation that helps families. Okay, so we saw Martin Moyer describe himself to C-SPAN, a public-facing entity. How does he describe him? How does Christian Action Network describe itself when it wants to sell its mailing list to other people? Let's go to Nextmark and find out. This mailer is aggressively prospecting. Radical Islamic activity in America has reached a shocking epidemic level since Barack Obama became president, and Islamic principles are finding their way into our court systems and schools. Sharia law, Islamic law, is being used to help decide court cases instead of relying on the Constitution or federal state laws. The U.S. Constitution is under attack. There are public schools across the country that are teaching and sometimes forcing children to pray to Allah, dress up as Muslims, and recite Muslim prayers. These acts are unconstitutional. Donors to CAN are dedicated to defending and protecting America's religious and moral heritage from radical Islam. These donors want to educate citizens and pressure elected officials to take radical Islamic threats seriously. Exchange is available. Oh, exchange is available means that he's willing to trade your mailing list for his, and you can make one mega mailing list of hateful people. We're going to go through the last 30 years of Martin Moyer's life, and we're going to hit the highlights, the lowlights, if you will, of the things Christian Action Network has actually done. I'm not going to go too in depth about anything that he currently talks about because, quite frankly, each one of these letters is on a completely different topic. So it's actually not worth chasing each little thing that he's doing right now. I can tell you that in the terms of the big picture, Martin Moyer and Christian Action Network punch down on marginalized groups that are lower on the social hierarchy than themselves. They also pick topics that, I'm sorry, I always have to I can never get this phrase right. I always have to look it up. They pick topics that arouse high dominance emotions, and by the easiest high dominance emotion to arouse is anger. So he purposefully picked topics that make you angry. The other great phrase I found was he's a part of the outrage content factory. You know, he's just one of a chorus of people that glom onto these outrageous topics that make people mad. He picks topics that are so outrageous, they demand that you give him money before you think his clever plan all the way through. His business model depends on people not doing any outside research other than reading his letters. He depends on low information donors because the second people start to look into Martin Moyer and Christian Action Network and what's actually going on with these topics, they would know not to donate to him. But if all you do is read his letter that makes you angry and send him off a check, he's golden. That's how he makes his money. Can you defund the National Endowment for the Arts? I mean, you can. He said he got them defunded by a whole 2%. But the next administration that came in not only raised the amount of money that National Endowment for the Arts receives, it's gone exponentially higher every year. Can you sue Barnes & Noble to keep a book behind the counter, to keep it away from the kids? I mean, you can, but the lawsuit will be tossed out. So there you go. He sticks to two main topics. He's obsessed with Muslims in America and the LGBTQ community as a whole. From Mr. Moyer's perspective, these two groups just existing is horrible. Oh my goodness, it's a red flag. There are Muslims existing in the world. Oh my goodness, there are gay people existing in the world. No, to him, it's like it's a pandemonium if these two groups do anything. This first topic is Martin Moyer and the National Endowment for the Arts. He talked about this topic during one of his podcasts, and I've actually on my blog, I'll pull the clip and I'll give you a timestamp and everything for it. I don't know how how copyright takedown happy he is, so I'm not going to include it in this. But from his perspective, he and his friends bought an RV and they started driving around the country with a bunch of dirty pictures because they didn't like that these photographs were funded by the National Endowment for the Arts. The photos were by, let me see if I can find his name, Joel Peter Whitkin. He and his friends didn't like photos taken by Joel Peter Whitkin, so they printed them out and had them in the RV, and they drove around the country to show what kind of photos the National Endowment for the Arts was funding. And during this little podcast of his, he was actually able to name one of the photos right off the top of his head. This photo and its name has been living rent-free in his head for 30 years. Eventually, they give copies of these photos to Jesse Helms, and Jesse Helms shows them on the floor of the Senate, and I'm going to put up footage of that right now. He blew up these giant photos of Joel Peter Whitkin's photography and showed them on the Senate floor as proof that the National Endowment for the Arts doesn't know what it's doing and that they're not thoroughly checking the art that they're funding. And as Martin Moyer put it in his podcast, it completely abolished the NEA, which of course is not true. The NEA still exists. They lowered the funding by 2%. So they went through all this fuss. He'll talk about how they defunded the NEA. The actual fallout of this mess was that the NEA had to change its policies about who gets picked to be funded. There are now more steps, more roadblocks for an artist to get funding. That's all that really happened. After it's interesting. So that was the mid 90s. So that was like 93, 94 is when this was happening. Martin Moyer was getting interviewed by places like the New York Times. I was actually able to go through the archives and found his group popped up a few times in the New York Times archives. And then he disappeared. It was really interesting. So he obviously needed more money because the whole art thing petered out. Ooh, we won. That's the problem. When you win, people don't donate to you anymore because you don't have a fight. So he had to find a new fight. Ooh, who are we going to fight against next? Well, how about gay people? How about we fight against gay people? He became obsessed with Ellen DeGeneres. In 1997, when Ellen DeGeneres came out as gay on TV, Martin Moyer had one of his little clickbaity headlines on his mail pieces. Ellen DeGeneres is dumping her filthy lesbian lifestyle right in the center of your living room. That was what he said at the time. And it's really hard to explain to the kids today what a controversy it was for Ellen DeGeneres to just say she was gay. Oh my goodness. What a time. So he was against Ellen DeGeneres coming out as gay. And he wanted her television series to be marked as dirty in some way. Or he wanted a HC or homosexual content warning label to be put on any TV program with a gay character. Oh my goodness. He got a lot of attention for that. So, all right, we got the gay people thing. So let's keep attacking gay people. Let's go after gay days at Disneyland. And Disney World. He, his wife, and their friends would go to gay days and they would videotape gay people being gay at Disneyland. And I've got some found footage of that for you. When you see just a whole bunch of gay guys in a pool dancing and having a good time, maybe it's me, maybe it's because I live in Southern California, but this just looks like a Thursday night in West Hollywood. There's nothing special or salacious or dirty going on unless you just think the very idea of men in a pool is dirty. Anyway, so gay people being gay, it was bad and they videotaped it. That peters out. The money from that dries up. Gay Days is gay. Oh my God, Gay Days is an institution at Disneyland. No one cared about that. So we need a new source of money. How about Muslims? Let's go after Muslims. And then he started harassing a town called Islamberg, New York. It's literally Islamberg. So I'm assuming, Islamberg, New York. And they're, secret Muslim training camps. Islamberg, New York is made up is like a commune type town. It's mostly people who lived in New York City, in one of the boroughs in New York City, Queens, Brooklyn, places like that. And they didn't like being in the city anymore, so they moved to Islamberg to get away from the big city and the crime and the poverty. And it's like a commune. They have goats, they have livestock, they have their own farm. I mean, why would you go after these people that are just trying to make a better life for themselves? So he went after Islamberg, and then he also was big on the Islamic Community Center that was going to be built in Manhattan near the World Trade Center site in New York, in Manhattan. So he was big on that kerfuffle as well. So this is where Southern Poverty Law Center really zoned in on Martin Moyer. This was just beyond the pale, what he was doing with Islamberg. I think I pulled the graphic. He made movies like Hometown Jihad, the terrorist camps around the U.S. He made a whole series of movies. I'll put all of their little thumbnails on the screen right now. I mean, that's obsession as far as I can tell. So this is this whole Muslim training camp thing and the kerfuffle he's going to have with Muslims of America is how he really got onto the radar of the Southern Poverty Law Center. And this is what they had to say about him at the time. For at least a decade, if not more, Islamberg and other settlements directly affiliated with the Muslims of America, MOA, movement have been accused of being terrorist training camps by far-right detractors. One of the key sources of this myth was a 2009 documentary produced by Martin Moyer, founder of Christian Action Network, called Hometown Jihad, the terrorist camps around the U.S. Christian Action Network is a group also focused on bashing gay men and lesbians. In 2005, for example, after Ellen DeGeneres came out as lesbian on her popular TV sitcom, CAN President Martin Moyer warned, if we allow the tidal wave of gay and lesbian smut to continue to pour into our homes, it will utterly consume us in no time at all. By 2009, however, CAN was showing interest in the issue of radical Islam, producing a documentary called Hometown Jihad, the terrorist camps around the U.S., and claimed there were 36 such camps on American soil, and that interest has only expanded as Americans grew more receptive. CAN recently announced a counter-jihad summit for this August. I'll figure out when this was made. This August, saying our public schools are sneaking in their curricula pro-Islamic teachings that actually promote Sharia law. An entire generation of our children is being brainwashed. My goodness. So yeah, the people didn't care about the gay thing, so he moved directly onto Muslims. It's just very interesting to me. He's jumping around a lot. I'm also going to link an article about Islamberg. The local police, they investigated this town, and part of the report was, yeah, they've got guns, but we're in rural New York. Quite frankly, they don't have enough guns. No, they didn't say that. I'm joking. And then in this past year, he's become obsessed. Like I said, this stack, every letter is different except for one topic, and that's genderqueer. He was ready to go to bat to get genderqueer banned. 2 letters, one of which had a petition to sign to send off to the CEO of Barnes & Noble. So for him to have 2 letters on the same topic, that one actually got him some traction, got him some money. So Martin Moyer on his podcast invited a gentleman who was suing Barnes & Noble over genderqueer. So a state delegate to Virginia, Tim Anderson, on behalf of somebody else, sought to ban 2 books. People don't care about the other book. They only care about genderqueer. He actually, in the podcast, says, oh yeah, we picked 2 books because we picked one that was gay that we really didn't like, but we also found a straight one to get banned too, just to make it even. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah Maas is the other book. Anyway, no one cares about that book. Sorry, Sarah. You're just getting swept up in this mess. But the one they really focused on was genderqueer, and they wanted to get it banned. They wanted to get this lawsuit was to get it put behind the counter and not in and they wanted to prevent children from buying this book, even though this book is not meant for children. The book is not in the children's section, but somehow they don't want kids to buy it. So anyway, this lawsuit got tossed out, which is great. The controversy surrounding genderqueer as a whole, to me, is absolutely fascinating. I actually went and found a whole bunch of interviews with Maya Kobe the author, and this is when I was on book tour in 2019, I was asked many times, what age of reader do you recommend this book for? And I generally answer high school and above. In truth, it is the readers I primarily wrote it for were my own parents and extended family. When I was first coming out as non-binary, I kept getting responses along the lines of, we love you, we support you, but we have no idea what you're talking about. So this is the part that really makes me sad that her book is coming under such fire from these groups, because essentially she wrote it for them. She wrote it to explain to explain what it's like to be non-binary to people who didn't understand, people like Martin Moyer. But instead of reading the book and, getting new information in their lives, like, oh, so that's what binary is, being non-binary is, they got angry about it. And it was scary and new. They don't understand. This book's trying to explain it, and they got mad about it. It's tragic. From another article, why do you think your book in particular has been so challenged out of all the queer literature that has faced scrutiny? I think it is specifically vulnerable to challenges because it is a graphic novel and includes illustrations. I do think it's easier to spread an image and have it go viral on social media than, say, a screen grab of a paragraph of words. It also means it's very easy to flip through and quickly identify pages that perhaps a conservative reader might disagree with. It's a picture book. They don't like it because it's a picture book with pictures. They didn't have to read it because it's a picture book. It's a picture book. And that's why it's getting torn down as much as it is. I'll have a whole section on Maya Kobe and genderqueer on my blog with a bunch of links to articles about it if you want to read further about what's going on. Oh my goodness. The most recent one that's gotten a little traction is Stephen Colbert called Jesus a cuck on his show. And he's trying to make a big fuss about this. And he actually said, wow, this is the most attention I've gotten in a while. I'm going to run with this. And this is a stack of 2022. In 2023, he's actually had a couple letters about Stephen Colbert and calling Jesus a cuck. And he's got a whole page about sending petitions to the head of CBS. And it's just, to me, I don't know. It's just really sad picking on the most banal comedians. The late night TV hosts tell the most banal jokes possible. Their entire everything they say has to be run through lawyers. You know that, right? They don't, everything's run through standards and practices. Picking on a late night host is just silly. All right. So that's enough with the history of Christian Action Network. Let's dive into some 990s. Up on the screen, I have a chart of the numbers that I pulled from Charity Navigator. Charity Navigator was nice enough to amalgamate the past 3 years of IRS 990s that they could get a hold of. So this isn't just 1 year. This is a nice averaging out of 3 years worth of data, which is really great. Gives you a nice, better accurate look at what's going on. So in this case, 49% of their budget is spent on fundraising. That is a red flag. That is bad. They spend 25.3% on fundraising, and administration is 25.6%. As a person who has seen literally hundreds of IRS 990s by this time in my 10 years of looking at them. This is a bad charity. Just right there, this gets 0 stars on Charity Navigator. This chart is what I would like to call the bare minimum charity expense chart. At one point, this chart was on the Charity Navigator website. Unfortunately, they have taken it down, which I think is a real bummer. I can make a whole other video about how Charity Navigator is actually soft on charities, which is really funny to say, but they've removed this chart from their website, which is really a bummer, because for me, you really do need to see a baseline of what a good charity is. So here we go. Again, this used to be on the Charity Navigator website. Program should be at 75%. Ideally, program should be at 90%. Fundraising at 15%. And that number is if you do the fundraising yourself. If you hire a professional fundraiser, it'll bump up to 20 to 25% if you hire a third party to do the fundraising for you. Administration at 10%. This goes for any charity, not just Christian Action Network, but this is this is the bare minimum of what you should be saying. So what I did is I've pulled a couple of other charities that are about the same size as Christian Action Network, $1 to $1.5 million, which in the charity world is considered a small charity. I pulled the Save the Manatee Club so I could show you some manatees right now because everyone loves their cute little manatee faces. So the Save the Manatee Club expense chart for 2019, this is the same year that I'm using for Christian Action Network. Also, this is the three-year amalgamation of their 90s programs at 86.3%, fundraising at 5.6%, and administration at 8.1%. So that is a very well-run charity. This is a 4-star charity from Charity Navigator that's about the same size as Christian Action Network, just so you can see that it is possible to run a good charity with the same budget. So let's go back to Christian Action Network. And now you can see all the things that I see. I see a horrible charity whose numbers are off the rails. Programs are at 50%. Fundraising at 25.3%. Now, I don't see a third-party fundraiser on their IRS 990s, and it's possible they have one, but they just don't spend enough money for it to register on the 990. So I don't know if there's a third party involved here. And administration at 25.6%. Oh, that's bad. Bad. We're going to dive into their 990s just a little bit, just to see what kind of fun is happening there. So this is from 2019. This is the newest 990 I can get from them. Lockdowns, COVID, all that. That's why this 990 is so old, even though it's 2023. This particular sheet is towards the end of the 990, but this box will help make everything else make more sense. Officers, directors, etc., family relationships. The wife of the president of the organization is employed by the organization as a manager. The son and 3 daughters of the president of the organization currently are or were employed by the organization in this fiscal year. The secretary-treasurer, Martin Fisher, was a part-time employee of the organization for part of the year. What we just learned is that the wife and all of the kids work for the charity. And apparently one of the the treasury secretary also works for the charity. This is very, very bad. I've got a couple of articles from Charity Watch, which is another charity watchdog group, that they have written a couple of articles about charities run by families and why they can be a problem. And I'm going to pull a quote from the article that's about the ACLJ. Oh, look, the ACLJ, another place I get junk mail from. Even though this is talking about the ACLJ, this quote also applies to Christian Action Network. It's more like a family-run business than a public charity. You'd have to have a lot of trust in this family in order to give them your money. That pretty much sums up the topic. This next page is personal loans to and from the charity. In 2015, Martin Moyer lent the charity $8,000, and I went back and looked at that year, and yeah, the charity was in the red that year, so I understand why he wanted to do the infusion of cash. In 2019, for this particular IRS 990, Michael Moyer, who is one of the children, I'm going to call them kids. What are they the same age as me, or then they're 40s or 50s? Anyway, so one of the kids borrowed $4,959. Melissa Mignana borrowed $3,883. So the loan to the charity was approved by the board, but the loans from the charity to the kids were not. There is no written agreement of any of this. This looks very, very bad. This is very bad, sloppy paperwork. This is a huge, hold on. This is a huge red flag. If you ever see charity doing this, making personal loans to family members and board members, this is not a problem. This is very bad. Martin Moyer took a different loan from the charity, and in that same year, a board member, Roger Ott, borrowed $1,000. So this is an ongoing thing. They treat the charity like a piggy bank. Money, they take loans in, they take loans out. It's a whole thing with them. State of Minnesota Attorney General's office is going to put it in very nice language for me. Under their exercise of duty of loyalty section, there is a section on loans and how loans should be treated by a charity. It is rarely proper for a nonprofit corporation to provide a loan or a guarantee to a director or the director's family members. Such transactions raise ethical questions and typically subject the nonprofit corporation and the board to public and government scrutiny. Oh, that's me. I'm public scrutiny. I'm scrutinizing this charity publicly. In limited circumstances, a nonprofit may provide a loan or guarantee to a director or the director's family members if, in the judgment of the entire board, the transaction will benefit the nonprofit, as opposed to the loan or guarantee recipient. These decisions should be meticulously documented and tracked through means such as board meeting minutes, correspondence, ledgers, etc., to establish their propriety. Not having the board approve the loan to the kids is a major red flag. It's a problem. So the loan that Martin Moyer made to the charity in 2015 is okay because the board approved it and it's properly documented. The loans to the kids, well, you tell me, who's benefiting more from the kids or the charity? Who's benefiting more in this transaction? You tell me. Tell me in the comments. All right, let's go to another page. The president of the organization has a capital lease agreement with the organization whereby the organization has purchased a motorhome. Oh, they purchased a motorhome? Well, I have a picture of the motorhome. Let's put a picture of the motorhome up. The organization has purchased a motorhome for $111,656 from him and is making monthly payments of $789. The outstanding balance due is $100,547. The motorhome is used exclusively for program service functions, investigative research, and travels. The president of the organization loaned funds to the organization to cover various cash shortfalls. The outstanding balance owed to him by the organization is $15,237. The son of the organization's president, who is also a part-time employee of the organization, was loaned funds for personal expenses. He is making periodic payments to the organization. The daughter of the organization's president, who is also a part-time employee of the organization, was loaned funds for personal expenses. She is making periodic payments to the organization. All right, so let's compare all of the there's a lot of transactions going on here. Let's compare the loan for the RV to the loans made to the kids. How about we do that? The loan for the RV, meticulously documented. We know how much the RV was bought for. We know how much is left on the loan. We know how much the monthly payment is due. Meticulously documented. The loans to the kids, they got some money, they might pay it back. You don't know, maybe, we hope. This is so bad. This is so bad. That's enough for the IRS documents. I promised. Wake up, everybody. The IRS documents are gone. All right, let's go back to the next mark page. Let's go. I read their little blurb about themselves earlier. You know, we hate Muslims. We're anti-Islamic over here. The donors to CAN are dedicated to defending and protecting America's religious and moral heritage from radical Islam. Yada yada. Okay, along with telling you who the mailing list is aimed at, it also tells you who bought their mailing list in 2021. It is 58 different charities. 58 different charities bought their list in 2021. And it actually didn't change that much from 2021 to 2022, which is this big stack that I've got. Okay, so I greatly apologize for doing this. There are timestamps below. Actually, you should be able to see them in the little red line at the bottom of the video. I'm going to read out the 40 mail pieces that I got in this past year because I was on the mailing list for Christian Action Network. You're wondering, well, how do you know Christian Action Network put you on their mailing list or put you on the mailing list for all of these other groups? And it's because when I signed up when I gave Christian Action Network $10, I put my last name as Christian Action Network. There you go. So that's how I know that all of these people that Christian Action Network sold me out to all 40 of these groups. I actually have, you probably can't see it, I actually have a stack of stuff from this year, but you know, eventually I've got to make this video. I'm going to do this so that if other people are suffering from the same problem of Christian Action Network filling up their mailing list, they may not know that Christian Action Network is actually the troublemaker. And quite frankly, if your mailbox looks like this, I'm going to link to a video at the end of this that'll help you stop all of it. So here we go. Here's me joking about 40 different charities. So 40 Days for Life. This is an anti-abortion charity. This is Alliance Defending Freedom. Hold on. Let me pull out their logo. Alliance Defending Freedom. There's their logo right there. You might recognize that. This is American Bible Society. Let's see if they've got anything interesting in here for you. They've got a little Bibles for Our Troops. Got a little Bibles for Our Troops pamphlet in there. There you go. Oh, here's the ACLJ, and I've got one of its sister charities here. Chosen People Ministries. So these two are actually the same. ACLJ and Chosen People Ministries. They are the same. Oh, they were one of Donald Trump's lawyers at one point. So that's fun. Hold on. It's our most desperate hour. Share Jesus. This is Campus Crusade for Christ. Oh, this was a huge group back in the day. My goodness. This is Harmeet Dilan. Center for American Liberty. Stop grooming our children in schools. Okay, that's great. This is World Concern or Christa Ministries. You guys, you got to pick one name. Come on, don't give me two different names like that. So this is Christa Ministries, and you can see the little child has got like it looks like a little peanut butter packet. It's actually a high protein. Hold on, it's a Pluppy Sup, ready to use supplementary food packet. That's what he's actually got. That's their mission, is they give that to starving people. This is CBN Israel, Christian Broadcasting Network Israel, and they always have a sad babushka on their letters. This is Christian Aid Mission. There you go. Convention of States Action. Oh. Amen and hallelujah. The black vote is coming around. So this person wants to convert black people to the Republican Party. But it's Cure America Action. That's this group. This is Decision Magazine. For the evangelical voice of today. There you go. Doubting Thomas. Oh, here we go. There's it. Please help. The Taliban was out to kill my family and others. Without your help, they will kill many other Christians. So that's Doubting Thomas. Oh, and the Doubting Thomas Research Foundation Afghan Liberty Project. That's a long name. First Liberty Institute. So there's that. Oh, these people are somehow helping the bakers who wouldn't bake a cake for a gay couple. That's what this letter is all about. Oh, Family Research Council. Yeah, Family Research Council, the classy haters. Love them. This is the FEBC, or hold on, I'm going to take my glasses off for this one. No. They're they broadcast into North Korea. Far East Broadcasting Company. They broadcast Christian radio into North Korea. Oh, Gospel Revival Ministries. Always send the same letter. I have to do a video about it. They've got this guy with he looks like a magician. He's got the beard and everything. They help brick manufacturers in Pakistan. They help get them out of that situation. Good Shepherd India, Dayspring International. Again, two names on your charity. That's very bad. Pick one name for your charity. All right, who is it? Oh, Hillsdale College. Yes, Hillsdale College, funded by Amway, and they sent me a pocket constitution. Love them. Harvesters Ministry. Heart for the Persecuted Church. Islamists invade Christian orphanage, orphans flee, every building burned, new home for children has been found. That was their little clickbait title there. International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Again, we've got a sad babushka on the envelope here. Jesus Film Project. Oh, they've made a film and they put it on like an iPad and they have people watch it. It's very interesting. Liberty Council. Masonic Jewish Alliance of America. Wow, money for medical supplies. And they have no rating, no IRS docs. That's interesting. Moms for America, everyone's favorite insurrectionists. Love them. Love Moms for America. Mission India. Oh, Rand Paul, National Pro-Life Alliance. I have to tell you, when I first started my junk mail project, this was one of the very first mail pieces I ever took a picture of. They were sending the exact same mail piece 9 years later. Amazing. Once you find that good mail piece, you never give it up. Oh, hold on, everybody. This one's extremely confidential. Oh, my goodness. President Trump's response to communist persecution of Christians in China. So this is the Nora Lamb Worldwide Ministries. They pass out Bibles in China. Rediscover America. Apparently there's something about Charlie Kirk in here. These two are from the same group. So this is the Senior Center, and the Senior Center has like 5 little baby charities that spin off of it. One of which is In God We Trust. These groups are the same. Sat7 North America. They, again, Christian Broadcasting. This is Secure America Now, and Mike Huckabee is involved. Final request for your vote is enclosed on referendum on sanctuary status for my city. I blanked out my city. But yeah, Mike Huckabee's involved with that. This is Third Mill. I think that's what it's called. Let's see. Yeah, Third Mill. That's these guys. Okay, it says 1,000 Hills, but its real name is Ignition 633. So Ignition 633, but 1,000 Hills is their big, but that's the real name. I don't know. Pick a name. I don't care what your name is. Just pick one. Trans World Radio. Oh, yes. United States Justice Foundation. Super hard to stop them. You got to actually email them directly. And the last one, just because it's in a big old envelope, American Cornerstone Institute. This is Ben Carson's group. Okay, so that is the 40 pieces. All right, now that we know that Christian Action Network is a nexus of junk mail and that we need to get off their mailing list, how do we do that? I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that Christian Action Network is a member of the DMA-ANA. So that's great. That means if you've never given them money and you sign up for DMA Choice, theoretically, junk mail from them should stop. But if you're like me and you gave them $10 or more, you're going to have to contact them directly. And I actually have a link to their contact page. It should be the very first link in the description box of this video. Email them. I'm going to give you like a sample letter. Please put name and address on your suppression list, including a Christian Action Network mailing list, next mark, and I've got the number for the mailing list, and any other mailing list you buy, sell, or trade, because they told you that they're willing to trade mailing lists. So you need to include all of that language to make sure you get fully, not erased from the suppression list is the language that direct mailers use. They actually don't remove you from their system. They put you on a separate list. I don't know. The direct mail world is very, very strange. This group also has a Substack page, and Substack is you subscribe to individual blogs. And so if you're stopping junk mail for a loved one, I would go through their bank statements and look for a Substack subscription to the Majority Report. That's the name of their Substack blog. So be on the lookout for that as well, and make sure you cancel that. What else can you do? Because you can do more than just get off their mailing list. If you or a loved one donated to Christian Action Network and you want to file a complaint, you feel you've been defrauded in some way, if you think Christian Action Network is violating tax laws, you can report them to the IRS. You can report them to the state they are based in, which is Virginia. You can file a report with this is a long title. The Virginia Department of Agriculture and Customer Services oversees the Office of Charitable and Regulatory Programs. So you can file a complaint with them. You can file a complaint with your own attorney general. In the state of Maine, they have been banned from fundraising in that state because of hate speech. I'm just letting you know. So no matter who you file a complaint with, please also file a complaint with the FTC. All of these state agencies, they don't talk to each other. They're kind of, your complaint's swimming around. It's like it's compartmentalized over here, but there's another complaint over here. File a complaint with the FTC. Everyone has access to the complaints in the FTC. If a state is building a case against this group and they search the FTC and find your complaint in another place, you might just be the person that helps build a case for a bigger case for this against this charity or any other charity. So hold on, I'm pointing to my plant. Where's my plant? There's my plant. All right, I am going to put a link to a video right here. It is a link to my big master plan to stop junk mail. If your mailbox looks like this, if this is your life, please follow my battle plan to stop junk mail. Christian Action Network is not the only group that does this to people. I taught myself how to stop junk mail. I had a relative with a junk mail problem, 130 pieces a week. It took me, well, last year was the first year I never got a mail piece for her. So there you go. It took 8 years to make it stop, and she died, so that changed everything. Anyway, it's a whole adventure. Click over here if you want to stop a major junk mail problem. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I hope you stop all your junk mail.